All right, everyone, welcome to Voiceover Freedom on YouTube. Today we have a very special guest, Renee Clancy. She is a side hustle expert. She reached out to me on Fiverr, and we actually got into a little conversation about, kind of sharing expertise in each other's fields. So I'm super excited to have her here today. She's going to talk about side hustles that she's done. She's going to give us advice on how to actually get into these side hustles, how you can be successful doing them, what you can make. So I know a lot of you guys are looking into voiceover because you want to do it as a side hustle. Well, here's an opportunity to learn more about other side hustles and also skills that you can apply across the board. So Renee, tell us a little bit about what you do. The mic is yours.
Thanks. Hi, Renee Clancy. I was a teacher for over 20 years, and every teacher has a side hustle. So I love side hustles. I get such a rush out of building a business and seeing it succeed and trying new things and how the market changes. One of my very, very first side hustles was a craft, and I'm talking 20 years ago. It was like this little clip. I think my mother was my only customer. But that's where I, started to learn about product. I've done side hustles, baking side hustles where, those really nice cakes with fondant. I love learning I think it's the learning process, the learning something new that I just love so much. So I learned how to make those beautiful fondant cakes. And then I quickly learned that it takes 12 hours to make one of those. And how much, when I charge, I didn't feel good charging more than $150. Well, that's not worth the time and effort. I did the cookie bouquets, the thick cookies you put on a stick and you give a bouquet, right? Well, you have to charge like $3 for each of those if you want to make any money. And then they fall off and you got to be able to deliver them.
Yeah, they break.
Then the next side hustle ended up being so good that I quit my day job. So I started photography on the side. And then I started to learn the craft. Everything I learned on YouTube, Photoshop, the whole Adobe suite, my camera, digital camera, everything. And I started with families, kids, seniors, and then I quickly learned weddings were where it was. So I was making about $300 an hour and on wedding photography. And I was like, why am I still teaching? So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I quit teaching. I was making $3,000 on each wedding and anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000, but an average of about $3,000. And so that was a good couple of years. But then I quickly learned that there's only so far you can grow when you're the only person managing that side hustle. Right? Mm-hmm. Like you as a voiceover person, unless you have 10 people working for you and contributing,
right?
Can you grow?
There's only so many hours in the day that you can devote your time to.
Right. There's only one of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I started a digital magazine, actually a wedding magazine. And I was in Barnes & Noble for a couple of years throughout Mexico, Canada, and the US, and then digitally across the world, of course. And it was going great. You want to hear my sad story about how that business declined? Okay, it was going great. And I got a small business loan for $50,000. The bank was very supportive. They're like, this is the magazine we want. It's wonderful. And I was calling people like big companies like Bed Bath & Beyond, Tiffany's, right? Because it's an international magazine. And they would pick up the phone and be like, yes, this is the magazine we want. This is great. Call us, or I'm walking into a budget meeting. Call me back in a month and then we'll talk. And then they never picked up the phone again. So finally, I did have one person who, thank goodness for this person, she was very honest with me. She said, all indie magazines, they come and go really quickly. Call us back in 9 years. And so that was a big wake up call for me. I went back to teaching, still did photography on side, but then I transitioned. I used all my photos that I took at weddings and put them in stock photography. So stock photography has been a huge side hustle for me. All of the items photos, the rings, the dress, the shoes, the tablescapes, the food. Oh my gosh. I took a picture of bathrooms, outdoor bathroom stalls, portable stalls. That's my best-selling photo.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah. I've made thousands of dollars on this over the years. I haven't uploaded anything in about 2 years and I still make money every day. It's very little bit.
Passive income from the stock photos.
Totally. If I were uploading every day, I could easily get into the hundreds of dollars. but I've moved on to another side hustle. I sold one photo for $3,000. Johnson & Johnson found my photo on Shutterstock, and then their company reached out to me and they purchased the rights to the photo. So it remodeled my bathroom. Yeah.
Wow, that's an impressive one.
Yeah. So there's just all those little things that I'm like, maybe that'll happen. Oh, then stock video. Videos that I have taken on my phone sell. Like, your phones are quality enough for these 10-second videos, especially now that people are going to Shutterstock and they're going to Envato Elements, right? For videos that are 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And it needs to be not edited very much. The video that sold for $150 was a 10-second pan of my son's football stadium, blank bleachers. Because, so there's certain things that you need to follow. But if you want to take the time to see what they want, stock video is the way to go right now. So, and that video has sold multiple times, $50, $50.
So there's still a market for that, like stock photography, stock video. It's not too saturated. You can actually.
It's not too saturated because you have to be willing to follow the trends. And places like Shutterstock and Adobe will tell you, hey, because they look at their algorithms and they say, we know that in 3 months, this color and this word will be trending. So go out and shoot that. Now, does it require models? That depends on how, because you are competing with giant corporations who bring in professional models and do stuff like that, right? So, in a side hustle, I think it shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun, right? We have our full-time jobs for stress. So I never went that far to hire models and things. I'd get friends to model for me if I really wanted to, but really I would take my phone out and about with me and just take photos. What I learned really quickly is if I thought it was pretty, someone else would think it was pretty. Someone else would want it. And so that's why it was a side hustle. It wasn't making a lot of money, but I made money. Then for a while, my full-time job took over. I became a high school assistant principal. I didn't have the bandwidth in my brain to do side hustles for a while, but now I'm in a different role. So I'm back to side hustles. Last year, I started my YouTube channel. It's a children's channel, and I now have 321,000 subscribers. It got monetized by March 1st. And am I talking too much?
And that's what the plaque is back there. That's from your children's YouTube channel.
I told my teenage kids until
you got that. That is pretty cool. And so that's monetized now. So that's bringing in income with all the views that you've gotten from. But what is the money actually from? Since they don't show ads on kids' channels, or do they?
They do, but what happens is advertisers can't collect data on children because of COPPA, the Children's Online Protection Act. So it's very general ads. It's learn math ads, teaching ads and things like that. Sometimes you will see an adult ad like for a car commercial, but it's really not much. So that's why it's such a little amount. I have had some brand deals. So, and I'm not talking big, right? Small toy companies. Actually, I did just get contacted by one big toy company that I'm super excited about. And those negotiations can go one of two ways. With the toy company that reached out to me last year, I did charge them $250 to put their link on one of my videos because the video was going viral. It was doing so well, and I'd already bought their toy on my own. That's how they found me. So they weren't giving me the toy for free, anything. They just they paid me the money. But then after that, see, here's another thing that's the difference between a side hustle and a full-time job. If it were a full-time job, I would have negotiated a fee per video, a fee per short, a fee per all of these things, plus free toys.
Yeah.
But I don't want to deal with the contracts. I want my side hustle to be fun. I don't want to stress about it. So I was fine just getting the free toys.
Yeah. Keeping it simple.
Yeah. Saves me money. We still signed a contract organized by ChatGPT. Thank you, ChatGPT, for my contract. Yep. And I've learned that contracts these days, having dealt with contracts in the past with the magazine and wedding photography, contracts these days that I've gotten from companies are much more relaxed. It's one page. It's you, the creator, will do this. We, the company, will give you this.
And so the toy company found you and they sent you free toys. Is that right? And they paid you $250 to put their link in your YouTube video? On
that one video that was doing well. And then all the ones after that, because I felt like I couldn't I understand that as a creator, you can't guarantee if a video is going to do well or not, but I felt like I'd already proved that one did well. So if you want a link on that one, you need to pay. But moving forward, I'll just take the free toys.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the same thing just happened with another company, toy company. This one's a little bit bigger. Again, I'm not charging them. I just want the free toys. But this is such a bigger toy company. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Their name brand will elevate mine. So I feel like I'm getting more just from this toy company because they're so big. Yeah.
Right. The credibility that you've worked with a bigger partner kind of gives you more credibility. So you've done baking, you've done photography, wedding photography, you've done videography, you've done stock photos, stock videos, your YouTube channel. Are there any side hustles that I'm missing?
Oh yeah, a lot more. So now that I've started my own channel, Renee Clancy, right? Because I wanted to teach people about side hustles. It has given me the opportunity to start side hustles just to learn and to teach others. So, for example, I wrote a novel years ago. Okay, it's like 500 pages. It's a fantasy novel. No publishers wanted it, so I self-published on KDP. So I've had that book on KDP for a while. So now that these low content and medium content books are coming up, right? So I decided to jump on that one. So I have about 150 books on KDP. And then the videos I'm doing are basically teaching people, don't do low content books anymore. No one's buying a blank page journal. You need to do medium content books. So that's where BookBolt reached out to me. So I have a partnership with them and I'm an affiliate marketer for them. And to promote them, they're a great service. So they help with that medium content book creation. They organize it, they create the mazes, the word searches. It's a really great platform. So I'm happy to partner with them. And so that's on KDP. And then I didn't want to start an Etsy channel, but I did. I got a burst of energy one day. So right now I'm playing around with the Etsy channel. And I've had a handful of sales, but not just about like 8, which is still great for having it go live 2 weeks ago. But I'm mostly playing around with the type of content, the type of thing. I don't want a physical product. I'm not going to deal with shipping and handling. I don't want to deal with an item that can be damaged because I also did I make homemade soap, lotion, shampoo, and lip balm. And so for a while I did that at farmers markets, right? Mm-hmm. That was kind of like my COVID side hustle because we could do it outside. So and people people have asked me, why don't you sell this? I'm like, no, it's just I don't want to deal with product.
Yeah. So what would you sell on Etsy exactly?
So on Etsy, I'm doing a variety of digital downloads as I'm following the trends, the keyword trends. So I started with fine art, all through AI, open art, right? Through digital creation. So I've created a lot of digital art. And then I'm kind of chasing the trends right now until I find what my fit is, but also what makes me happy. Because I think that if I were to give anybody two bits of advice when starting a side hustle, number one, you've got to enjoy it. If not, you're not going to do it. You're not going to be successful. It's going to get old really fast. And this is your free time you're spending. You'd better like it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And number two, the money. You're not going to make any money for 3 months and you're not going to make good money for 6 months. And that's putting in full-time effort for the whole 6 months. So if after 6 months you're not making money, then I'd ask myself, is this worth it? Am I not doing what's going on? So that's why with the Etsy one, I don't mind not having a narrow niche. Like I've added, for example, Google budget tracking sheets. I paid someone on Fiverr to create a Google budget tracking sheet for me, but now I'm working on the promotion of that. I'm making, because I know graphic design, I can kind of throw that in there and that helps me out a little bit. So I'm making tumbler wraps for sublimation. I don't know how to do that, but I Googled how to do it. So I'm selling some of those. Yeah.
And that's the cool thing too, is you can always, research how to do something. If you're doing a side hustle and you get stuck, there's always ways to get unstuck and get the information that you need. It's all there on the internet.
Yep. There's someone else who's done it. I'm not the first. I'm not original. Right. And there's someone else who's
Exactly.
done it better than me. So I'm going to go learn.
So there's always, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's super cool. So what kind of money can you expect from these side hustles, like the baking or the stock photos? Or you talked a little bit about the wedding ones, but what kind of income, like, are we talking? Like, how does it differ from side hustle to side hustle?
Um, I mean, definitely skill goes into how much you can charge, right? Which is why I always say, don't charge a lot at the beginning. I know people say at the beginning, don't give away your services for free, but my first 3 weddings I put on Craigslist and I said, I'm just learning, I'm new, I will do weddings for free. And there were people, because I was bad, right? There was so much I had to learn, but there were people who wouldn't have had any photographer. And so they were just grateful to have someone. So, that's out there. So for example, when I talk about, like, I do some coaching and helping people find their side hustle, right? So right now I'm working with a young lady who is great at graphic design. And so I'm like, go on Fiverr, right? Create a few things, go on Fiverr, be super cheap, but say on there, hey, I'm new, I'm learning. So that's why this is so, hire me now while I'm still cheap, because I'm not going to be cheap for long. So that's where, like, the wedding photography, when I knew to charge more, and the same thing with stock photography. Well, on stock photography, you can't control what you charge. That's up to Adobe and Shutterstock and all the companies.
They pick the prices.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah. But with weddings, or I'm going to say with any photography, I knew I had to raise my prices the moment I was angry that I was there and for how cheap it was. So at the beginning I had and by the way, it's a lot different now. So this was 2010 and 2009, 2010. And I just wanted to know how much to charge. I didn't know how much to charge. And I'm a collaborator. If I know something, I'm going to share. So I was surprised. I'd call wedding photographers. I'd be like, hey, can you help me? And they'd be like, no, go figure it out.
They want to keep their secrets.
So I pretended to be a bride and I called them, and then they would give me their wedding information.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then I kind of knew how much to charge, but I don't believe in competition at all. I just believe that there's a right person for the right product. And so I can be standing right next to another wedding photographer. We can both give a pitch and I'm like, choose who you want. Because whether it's personality or product, the client wants what they want. And which is also why I would give my pricing out at the very beginning. I would send out my pricing with the original email, and it was on my website, because no matter how much someone likes you, if they can't afford you, they're not going to hire you. There's no change but they're not going to get a cheaper dress to hire you. Mm-hmm. So I know that there were a lot of photographers who are like, no, I'm not going to give it to them till we meet. I'm like, well, you've just wasted a meeting, your time and their time.
So to understand your pricing in that wedding field, you would kind of get an idea from other like wedding photographers. Did that help you?
It did. And looking at packages. So for example, and this is going to age me, but when I started film, it was like digital photography was just taking off. And so the standard way to market or price your package was a general fee for the photographer, a big fee for the photographer just showing up, like $1,000 just for showing up, the equipment, taking all the pictures, everything. Then after that, you would give little proofs, like little tiny ones, right? And then the bride and the mother, what would come in, you would show them an album, you would show them the proofs, and then they would order per print and spend another thousands of dollars, right? And so as digital was coming in, and I was one of the very first to say, no, I'm giving you all of the digital files. I'm going to edit what I edit. And I'm going to, I set my packages a certain way so that they got all the hanging out ones, all the smiling ones. I removed the terrible ones. Not everyone's going to be fabulous, but I did that, and it charged an hourly fee. And I got hate online. I got some pushback from other photographers. They're like, you're diluting the industry. You can't give away everything. You're devaluing what we do. And I looked at it more like, no, this is our clientele, right? Our brides right now, they want these pictures for social media. They're only going to print 2. So why am I only going to give them 10 and charge $3,000? So once I put that out there and I sold that, I said, I at every meeting, I said, I will give you almost every photo. You're going to get 300 photos in this. Other photographers won't do that. And they're like, I know. So I threw other photographers under the bus a little, but it just took a few years. And then everyone gave the digital files. I was just a little ahead of everyone. Yeah. And then I knew pricing had to change. So when I stepped up from one group or clientele to another, for example, I was charging $100 an hour, and I was giving a CD of the edited images. This was CDs. Okay. And, I did a wedding at a Holiday Inn, which was lovely. It had just been remodeled. Okay. The ballroom was lovely, but the ceremony was outside next to the pool, and they were legally not allowed to ask the kids in the pool to get out of the pool for the ceremony. So during the ceremony, the bride and groom are saying I do, and the kids are yelling Marco Polo. And I thought, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to go to a different level of hotel, right? So that's when I upped my packages to a $350 an hour. And I did packages that included the engagement session, that included a 1-year anniversary session, that included, a book, that included a second photographer, all these things. And so a bride and groom could pick anywhere from 3,000. That's why I kind of averaged out to 3,000.
So would you say that wedding photography was probably one of the more lucrative side hustles that you've done?
Definitely one of the more lucrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down. I made $100,000 in 2014 and in 2015.
So let's say, knowing what you know now about all the side hustles you've done, if you were to start back before you had done any side hustles, which one would you choose, knowing now what you know?
Okay. Hard.
I have a feeling I would go with the wedding one, because I'm trying to make some money here. But go ahead.
Never quit your day job. That is my advice. But that's because of my personal experience, which was I got sick. I got physically ill. I got, in 1 month when I was shooting weddings, I got strep, mono, and a bacterial infection, because you can't take a day off. Doesn't matter how sick you are. I can't call in someone to cover for me on a wedding that I've been planning for a year. So I just kept on powering through. And I am not great with money. So when I say I got I grossed $100,000. I was not taking into account health insurance, retirement. And then when I was teaching and I would go to book a bride, there was no stress. You're like, you say no big deal. I still have a job. I'm not out anything. And now all of a sudden it went to, if I don't book this job, I may not pay my bills. So that level of stress, I wasn't ready for. And then as I started to get older, literally holding 2 cameras, one in each hand, that were 10 pounds each because of the big body and then the big lens, and then holding it on my hip. I got arthritis in my hands, my back. Because I did it for 12 years. It got to the point where I had to hire someone just to carry my equipment for me because I was getting older. How is that sustainable? That's just it. It's not sustainable. So it was great for those 10 years.
That's a long time, by the way. Congratulations for completing 10 years in that.
I go back and forth between 10 and 12 years because I did it for 12 years, but the last 2 years, it was not, I was just booking by word of mouth. I was a preferred vendor at several places. So that's where I was getting the bookings. I wasn't promoting. I was winding down the business. So yeah.
Would you say that it grew from, you mentioned that you started on Craigslist, just free, and then from there, it just word of mouth started growing? Or did you do paid advertising?
I did advertise for the weddings. I did. I 50% of my traffic came from advertisements. So one and then you have to pick between the Knot and Wedding Wire. And again, this is kind of dated because it's been 6 years, right? Yeah. But the Knot, if I paid $4,000 for one ad for the Knot, I got 20 weddings. Okay.
Wow. That's a ton of weddings from one ad.
Yeah. So it was totally worth it. And then the other 50% of my weddings came from being a preferred vendor at locations. Someone has to die for you to get on a preferred vendor list. When I got sick, I was still getting calls from brides who got my number from a preferred vendor. And I had to call these venues and say, I'm sorry, I'm ill right now. Can you please just take me off your list temporarily until I get better? And I never got back on the list. So it's like, if you can get, and I did several things to get on those lists. You have to book there several times. After each wedding, I sent each venue a free book, a free photo album, along with other free materials to give the bride, along with tagging them on social media, along with posting in magazines, and tagging them so they got exposure, so that then I could email that venue and say, hey, look, you were just featured in these 3 magazines because of my photo. Do you want to be featured more? Choose me to be a preferred vendor.
Wow. And once you got sick, they didn't take you on anymore. Just like that.
Yeah. Which,
wow.
I mean,
it's very sensitive.
Yeah. But I mean, they move on, and styles were changing, I'm sure. In photography changes overall. And maybe it was just the universe's way of saying it was time for me to move on. And I still did that. Like when I owned the magazine, I still did photography for the magazine. But I really took a step back, and I had interns that were helping me. I worked with photographers all around the world. I did get enough advertising to pay for the production of the magazine, but just not enough to pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So a lot of good experiences, a lot of good side hustles. And I can
I know I didn't answer your question about which side hustle is better, because I churn through side hustles. It's just fun for me. So that's it. Do what's going to make you happy.
Do what's going to make you happy. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you did learn a lot from each side hustle, so it has a different value than just the money.
Each side hustle has contributed to the next one. And in fact, I got one of my jobs as an assistant principal. The superintendent told me, because of the magazine I ran, they saw, and my wedding photography, they saw how I knew marketing and promotion, and they wanted me to do that for the school. So don't shy away from the skills that you learn in each side hustle. Promote them in the next one.
What would you say is the benefit of a side hustle than just having like a main job or a normal job only? Why should people want to do side hustles, in your opinion?
You're right. Like, I know people who are like, have no desire to do a side hustle. I have a bit of anxiety, and don't like to sit still, don't like to watch TV, I have to be productive. So that's my problem. Like, that's not like, I think that's my issue. And that's where I'm so grateful for my husband. He's chill, he's calm, he calms me down. He door dashes, and my son door dashes for their side hustles. He's a teacher too. So my husband door dashes. But that it's just this desire to like, not want to, if I'm sitting still, I don't want to waste time. Oh, and it motivates us for money. I mean, our full-time jobs pay the bills, pay the cars, pay the food, right? Pay for life. Our side hustles, my side hustle money from the children's channel, we're going on a huge trip. I can't say where. Well, my husband's not here, and he's not going to watch this till we're gone. So he doesn't know where we're going. It's a big surprise. I got us first class tickets to Prague, Budapest, Vienna, Slovenia, all from my side hustle money.
Wow. That's quite the vacation.
So I don't feel guilty spending that money, because it's not coming from my main account. That's why I think people...
There's a lot of value. There's definitely a lot of value in that. And I think that's a good thing, that you have this desire to be proactive, to use your time in a productive way, to give value to people that will also give you another stream of income that you can use to reward yourself, your family with trips. I think that's more than enough reason. I think that's, plenty of reasons that people also want. So I definitely think there's a lot of value in having side hustles. You learn new skills, you better yourself as a person, you help other people, you open new opportunities, new doors to new side hustles, new relationships. You're just constantly growing. So it's not just about the extra money, of course, that is awesome, but there's so many other benefits that come with having a side hustle. Just as you said, instead of just staying home and just watching TV, which there's a time for that, but instead of just doing that every day, you're actually evolving as a person, which can actually give you so much value. So
Yep. So I've had to, like I said, I was sick from working so much. I've had to learn balance. So that's something I would suggest to somebody who's balancing a full-time job and a side hustle. It's okay to put aside the side hustle if you need to rest and take care of your family, take care of take care of life. So that's what some people don't struggle with balance. I struggle with balance.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think that yeah, a little bit of balance goes a long way for sure.
Agreed.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to share about? I mean, side hustles.
I
What
could
you?
talk about this all day. I just could. So why don't we just plan on doing this again?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think you've shared a lot of info. I definitely have learned a lot about the different things you've done. I've done a lot of side hustles myself, so I'm a strong believer in them. I think that it's excellent that you do that. So yeah, your channel goes into information and videos talking about these side hustles in more detail. So for anyone watching, if you'd like to learn more about getting your own side hustle started, check out Renee's channel. I'll put the link in the description down below. And Renee is actually interested in starting her own voiceover side hustle, so I'm pretty sure she's going to be watching some of my content to learn some of the ins and outs. That was my side hustle back in 2010, and I've been doing that ever since. So that grew into a main hustle.
I will get some tips from you on how to successful main hustle.
For sure, for sure. So definitely something I enjoy doing. I love to talk about it as well. But thank you so much, Renee, for taking this time to talk to us about side hustles and what you love about them and sharing that all that information with us. But yeah, that's all the time we have for today. Anyways, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.